This is a little bit of a tough problem. I would say on a scale of 1 to 5, closer to your level 4, if not, if not your level 5, but definitely up there. Definitely up there. It's telling me x squared minus y squared equals 12, and the other piece of information it tells me is that x plus y equals 6, and it's asking me what is the value of x. So there's two ways of doing this problem. One is really beating the problem, and the second is the proper way of doing it, and we're going to go over both. We're going to go over both ways of doing this. First, I'm going to talk about how to beat this problem, which I think is probably the better way to learn this problem, because if you get stuck on the SAT, you don't know how the proper way, there's always ways to get around this problem, and this, again, is one of my big strategies, is if you can work backwards from the answer choices, apply that strategy whenever you can. Now, the question is saying the answer choices represent the value of x. So let's pretend as if I'll work with 3. I'll start off with B3. I'll pretend as if the answer for x is 3. Now I know that x plus y has to be 6. So if x is 3, that tells me that y also has to be 3 because that would satisfy that equation. Now I'll take my x and y and I'll plug them in there to see if that equals 12. So 3 squared is 9. I know that 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 9 is 0, which is 12. That doesn't work, so I know I can cross out B. I'm going to jump over to 4 just because I'd rather work with whole numbers first and eliminate those. Or if 4 is the answer, great, I don't have to go to 2.5 or 3.5. So I'm just going to jump over to 4. So now if x is 4, I know that y has to be 2. Now let's test this out and let's see if this works. So if x is 4, 4 squared is 16. And 2 squared is 4, so 16 minus 4 is 12. Look at that. The answer is D. 4, because x, the value of x for 4, that works out over there. And now the reason I didn't try 3.5 or 2.5 was I just didn't want to work with a decimal first. Now 4 didn't work, then I would hop over to 3.5, I would plug that in, that would tell me the value of y is 2.5, I would plug those back in and see if that equals 12. One of them will work out. If this makes sense to you, great, move on. If you want to see the second explanation, stick around. I'm going to erase this side and I'm going to show you the second explanation. Now, this is really the proper way of doing this problem, and you're not always going to figure out the proper way of doing it, so that's why I always teach you these strategies of how to get around the problem. Now, x squared minus y squared, that's a common quadratic. You want to be able to factor this out. Now, if I factor this out, think of reversal FOIL. That is the same thing as x plus y times x minus y, because now if I FOIL this expression out, it gives me x squared minus y squared. So what I've just done so far is rewritten this expression right over here. So that whole expression is the same thing as that, and I know that equals 12. The other part of the problem tells me that x plus y equals 6. So I know that this value right there is 6. So instead of that x plus y, I'll just replace that with 6, and I know that 6 times x minus y must be 12. And now this is really saying this number times that number must be 12. So that tells me that the value of x minus y must be 2, because 6 times 2 is 12, so that means that x minus y must be 2. Let me erase some of this stuff over here too, and then we'll figure out where to go from here. While I erase this, try to think about all the steps I've done so far. Try to think for yourself what I can do next. Alright, got some space for myself. So now I have two things. I know that x plus y equals 6. I know that x minus y equals 2. And I can set up a system of equations. So x plus y equals 6. And x minus y equals 2. And let's just add it straight down. X plus x is 2x. Y minus y cancels out. 6 plus 2 is 8. Divide both sides by 2. And you'll get x equals 4, which is what we got by working backwards too. So really the trick here was to understand that x squared minus y squared, I was about to say v squared, x squared minus y squared can be rewritten as that expression. If you can understand that, you can plug your x plus y back in there and take it from there. So that's really the proper way of doing it. Work backwards, like I said. This is definitely the tougher way. It's not easy to see how to do it this way all the time. The answer here, that's why, is D, 4.